If we don't, and if we do defer it, I think that at a minimum we should bring it back for a thorough submission, even if we've missed it. But in the meantime, I would suggest that people look very carefully through Calgary. Calgary gives us the way forward. As the person who's responsible for moving forward on poverty reduction, I can tell you that we are already being asked by libraries, by hubs, by community rooms, by TCH, to put in free access to the internet, because our students, our children and our families and our job-seeking parents have no ability to communicate, and they've been really left out. So this is an essentially important decision for Council. I'm sorry that we weren't up to speed, and on December the 21st, as Calgary had already finished theirs, that we weren't at least starting it. So it seems to me that the window hasn't entirely closed, and that we should take the opportunity of the daylight that's just at the moment peeking through.
Thank you. Councillor Cho, 2 minutes on the deferral.
Call the question.
Well, there's one speaker left. Okay. The question has been called.
One speaker, Raymond.
No, there'll be more and more.
There's only one speaker left. Yeah, come on. These are deferrals. 2 minutes.
That's right. No more speakers.
Are we on the referral, or is this to call the question?
This is to
the question.
Oh, come on.
Councillor Wong Tam, please.
The motion to call the question carries 24-8.
This is on the deferral.
Okay, so we're voting on the deferral by Councillor Grimes. Can we put the motion on the screen? Okay, the recorded vote. Okay. Motion's on the screen.
Councillor Mihevc, please. Councillor Palacio.
The motion to defer does not carry. The vote is 11-21.
Okay, Councillor Cressy, next speaker.
No, Joe.
Question. I'm not calling to question, but I will keep my remarks brief, so you can be thankful for that. I would say there's been a lot of questions asked, some confusion surrounding this. I think at its core, this is a relatively, and should be, clear matter. It's about affordability, it's about fairness, and it's about the digital age at its core. Internet access today is essential. It's essential if you're a student. It's essential if you're looking to access and use government services. And it's an essential if you're looking for a job. In today's age, having access to the internet is equated with having access to society, being a productive, working member of society. And so, the rationale and the reason behind this motion is that philosophy, but it's more than that. It's that 40% of low-income people in Canada don't have access. 40%. So if this is a prerequisite to being an engaged member of society, we're making it harder for 40% of those who live in this country. But even for those who can afford internet access, the cost in Canada is among the highest rates for internet access in the world. And so for 40%, well, you don't even have access. For the rest of you, you're paying too much in concert with a developed digital economy around the world. And so it seems to me that this is a decision in front of us, given the urgency and the fact that it's at the cabinet table, requires our position, requires us to take a stand, and I think it should be a clear matter, and I'm happy to support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Matlow to speak.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, by the way, I thought that was a lovely speech, Councillor Cressy. No, it was, and I heard some other very nice speeches today too. And for me, this is certainly all about affordability, accessibility, challenging the digital divide, and allowing for more fair competition. And I'm very happy to support Councillor Layton's motion to be able to have that be the formal submission of this city. I just wanted to add, though, that there was some talk earlier about the mayor's position. I don't think it's helpful at all to make this into a debate about the mayor. The mayor has a position. The mayor of Toronto's position is very similar to the mayor of Ottawa's position. Our position, if we support Councillor Layton's motion, will be more similar to Calgary's position. And there's going to be a diversity of different opinions. I know what position I'm taking, but let this vote be actually focused on the issue and not about the personalities surrounding the issue today. Thank you.
I don't think anybody made it an issue. The fact that I commented.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson to speak.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, I rise perplexed, actually. But let me explain. I think clearly we're all interested in fairness. We're all interested in cheaper, more affordable internet service for everyone, quite frankly. We're also wanting to ensure that the opportunities around jobs and those who are not making a lot of monies are able to have access to the features and being able to utilize the internet. My challenge is, though, and certainly I'm not here to pine for the big internet providers. I, too, have concerns about how much I pay personally, how much my family pays. So I'm not here to kind of laud them and to suggest somehow that we give them an unfair advantage or a continued monopoly. What I'm concerned with respect to this particular process is that, A, we haven't done a thorough analysis and assessment and having had discussions with all of the different folks who are interested in this, the mayor and the Mayor Toronto, Mayor of Kitchener-Waterloo, that we're working on the whole tech corridor process. We are working with a number of companies in terms of startups and so on. There's a whole value and opportunity for us to create economic development and economic empowerment. And clearly the internet provides that opportunity. So a lower cost internet service would be great in terms of all those component parts. However, I don't think we know enough in terms of being able to say simply that we just simply lend our voice to the Calgary position versus to that of our mayor and or the mayor of Ottawa. It strikes me as being interesting, though, because this is about, as the motion talks about competition, it's about fairness, it's about the ability to ensure that internet companies or internet is made more affordable as companies compete for dollars and so on. The last time I checked, City of Toronto did not own a telco company. But last time, if my memory serves me correctly, Calgary does. And so it is about, obviously, a position that Calgary has taken that suggests that they're competing in that marketplace and in that particular space. And so we need to understand that. We need to understand that whole process. I'm not advocating that people should be paying more. I'm not advocating that people who are in need of greater internet services, should not get it. I'm advocating that they should. What I don't understand at this point is what is our overall position other than simply saying we want to lend our voice to making it more affordable and more equitable and so on. I'm not sure that that is going to actually be a real position that will land at. I don't know that at this point. I think we actually have to have a position. I think we have to develop a model. I think we actually have to develop a made-in-Toronto solution based on all of the parameters that we actually have in place about economic development, about social inclusion, about social development, about at-risk neighborhoods, about services in our library. We talked about we only have 2 or 3 computers in our libraries. That's available. Well, what does that have to do with the price of the internet? Does that make it any cheaper? Does that make it any more expensive? I submit to you that it actually does not. I think if we really want to help people and help those, obviously, that we all talk about here today, then we really need to have a plan. Simply just putting a position out to Ottawa or the Cabinet or whoever else is going to assess this, I don't think that's sufficient. What I think we need to do, not dissimilar to what Calgary has done, and I understand Calgary's position. We had a telco many years ago. We sold it, right? And we have utility poles. We sold them. And so what I think we really need to do is develop a position. And so that's why I'm uncomfortable just to simply say, for those reasons that's listed in this motion, we simply just support what's in front of us. I think in anything that we do, we have to develop a business case. There's a need and necessity for that to really look adequately at what our requirements are. So it isn't that I'm supporting Bell Canada. God knows I would not support Bell Canada because of the cost. God knows I would not be supporting Rogers. We pay a tremendous amount of money on a daily, weekly, monthly basis for our internet service and using our cell phones and so on. I talk to friends in Europe and in Africa and places like that, and they laugh at me when I tell them the amounts that I pay for my internet. They cannot believe how much we pay here in Canada. So I'm not out there advocating for those large companies. I want better service. I want lower rates and so on. But I want a plan that details that. Right now I don't have that plan. And that's my discomfort with what we're doing here today. It may very well be too late to go to Ottawa anyway, so let's have a plan.
Got to get out of here. Councillor Perruzza.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, this is the plan. It's real simple, actually. The CRTC makes decisions on these matters, and from what I read here, is that the CRTC basically said that you need to have more competition in providing internet services. That's basically, in a nutshell, what they said. I often hear from my friends here on the floor of council that more competition leads to lower rates. How many of you have said that? Councillor Holliday has said it many, many times. Councillor Cole, Councillor Thompson. Competition, more people, lower rates. Sometimes they make it sound like it's a no-brainer. So the CRTC has said, we want more competition. Now, the federal government publishes what's called the Canadian Gazette. I'm not an ardent reader of the Canadian Gazette. All right? However, we have a councillor here who actually tuned into the Canadian Gazette, which said that the CRTC has made a decision on this matter. In doing that, they invite submissions, and they like to hear from Canadians, of which we are very much a part of, as individuals and as a city. They say, we would like to hear your views on this matter. Verbally, they hold hearings. In writing, send us a letter. By email, I presume, through the internet, a number of other ways you can make your views known. We missed that. We missed that opportunity